Well, hey guys, Shalom, Gabe here. I wanted to make a supplementary video to the beginner's Hebrew class that we are teaching and going through at Dothan Messianic Fellowship. So this video is specifically for people who are in the beginner's Hebrew class offered here at Dothan Messianic Fellowship. And there might be someone watching who's not a part of the class from elsewhere, which is totally fine, and you're welcome to watch and learn along. But I'm going to try to make these videos at least every other week, but I can't make any big promises or anything. But I'm going to try to supplement the in-class time with these videos so you guys can follow along and kind of have like a midweek review. So what have we been learning? We're 2 weeks into beginner's Hebrew, and so far I've introduced you to the Hebrew alphabet, and I've also introduced you to the final form letters, or the soffit letters. So what I want to do right now is go through the 22 letters of the Hebrew alphabet and sound them out phonetically, but also tell you the names of them, and then take you over to a different screen and show you the final form letters. All right, so let's start right here. Hebrew is always read right to left, and so we're going to start right here with this letter that looks similar to the letter X. This is the letter Aleph, and it is usually silent unless it's given a vowel. Usually there will be a vowel sign which appears under here, which will give it a sound. Otherwise, it's completely silent. And this word appears in the word Elohim, or God, and the reason why it's pronounced as an Elohim, is because it's given a vowel underneath it. So this will change sound, but we always typically treat it as a silent letter. The next letter we have here is the letter Bet, Bet. And Bet corresponds to the English letter B as in boy. Bet is a Hebrew word which means house, house. And this letter, without a dot, is a softer letter that corresponds to our letter V as in Victor. Okay, so Bet or Vate. Okay, so if it has the dot in there, you're going to make it a harder, more pressurized B as in boy. Okay, so Aleph silent, Bet as in B, boy. The next letter, the third letter, is Gimel. Gimel makes a letter, corresponds to our letter G, and the Gimel is the third letter, and it can be the beginning letter of the name Gamliel, which was a great rabbi in the first century, which was also the rabbi of the Apostle Paul. He was a teacher of the Apostle Paul. So Gimel, always pronounced as a G. So we have Aleph, Bet, Gimel. This next letter is a Dalet. And Dalet is a Hebrew word which means door. It's always pronounced as the letter D, equivalent to our English letter D, as in dog. Okay, Dalet. So we have Aleph, Bet, Gimel, Dalet. This next letter is the letter Hey, and it is equivalent to the English letter H. So it's kind of a breathy ha. All right, and so there's a prefix in the Hebrew language, ha, which starts with this letter Hey. Ha means the. So if you have ha Shabbat means the Sabbath, the Shabbat, okay? So we have Aleph, Bet, Gimel, Dalet, Hey. This sixth letter here is Vav, okay? Vav is an interesting letter because it's a connector letter. Usually when you see it at the beginning of a Hebrew word, it means that it's connecting two ideas together. And we read this in one of our prayers. We say, Ve'ahavta, and you shall love. Okay, so this letter here is the beginning of that word ve'ahavta, and you shall love. Sometimes the vav, however, has a dot here in the middle, and I tell you guys that it's like someone catching a ball really hard in their stomach, and they say ooh, like that, it's painful, and it knocks the wind out of them, ooh. So sometimes the vav is found in the middle of a word, not always, but most times when you see it in the middle of a word or even at the end of a word, it's going to have a dot here, and it's going to say the letter oo, as in a double O, okay, oo. There's a third sound that a vav can make. When you see a dot here at the top, he's catching the ball above his head, and he's saying, oh, I got it, oh, okay? So we have a v sound, an oo sound if the dot's here, and then an O sound if the dot is there, okay? So 3 sounds that a Vav can make. It's a very versatile letter, all right? We have Aleph, Bet, Gimel, Dalet, Hey, Vav, and this next letter is Zayin, Zayin, okay? This is always going to make the sound that's equivalent to our letter Z, Z, okay? Like a zebra, so Zayin, Zayin, okay? The next letter, so we have Aleph, Bet, Gimel, Dalet, Hey, Vav, Zayin, Chet, Chet, okay? This is the first of the guttural sounds where you're going to make it, I tell people it's like you got a fly stuck in the back of your throat, Chet, Chet, okay? And you just want to practice making that sound. The more you make that sound, the easier it is to make it, okay? Chet. And you see, this is like the letter Hey, except the only difference is there's a blockage here. You see, in the letter Hey, there's an opening where the air can flow out freely, Hey. But in the letter Chet, however, there's like a blockage. And you kind of want to make the same effect with your throat. You want to go Chet, Chet, okay? So this is the first letter of the word Chen, Chen, which means grace or favor, all right? Chet, Chet. All right, and it's also there's no English equivalent to this sound. Sometimes it's represented in the English alphabet as a CH, but that's not completely accurate. Okay, so we have, let's review, Aleph, Bet, Gimel, Dalet, Hey, Vav, Zayin, Chet. And this one rhymes. It's a tet, tet. Okay, and so this is always going to make the equivalent of our T sound, t, t, like talit, talit, a prayer shawl, talit. Okay, this is a tet, tet. All right, so you have Aleph, Bet, Gimel, Dalet, Hey, Vav, Zayin, Chet, tet, and then the smallest of the Hebrew alphabet is the Yud, Yud. And the Yud is equivalent to the sound of a Y, as in Yankee, okay, Yud. And this is the first letter of God's holy name, Yud, Hey, Vav, Hey, okay, Yud. It's a picture of a hand, because the word Yad means hand, okay, hand. All right, so we have Aleph, Bet, Gimel, Dalet, Hey, Vav, Zayin, Chet, Tet, Yud. And then we have this here, which is a backward C. I like to call it the backward C, which makes a K, as in a cat, K. This is a Kaf, Kaf, okay? Now, Kaf can make 2 different sounds, very, very minor differences, but a Kaf with a dot in it makes just a straight K, K, like a K or like a hard C, K. But if we take that dot away, it's going to make a more guttural Ch, Ch, okay? And we see this in the end of the word Baruch, Baruch. We see a Kaf that has a more guttural sound, okay? So Kaf. And it's like a C that is turning around. He's turning around so he doesn't cough on people. He's turning around, he's saying cough, okay? All right, we have Aleph, Bet, Gimel, Dalet, Hey, Vav, Zayin, Chet, Tet, Yud, Kaf. The one letter that stands above all the other letters is the Lamed, Lamed. Lamed is equivalent to the English letter L, so it's going to go la, la, la. And it's the only letter that stands above all the other letters. Lamed means to learn or to teach. And what's a word that starts with Lamed? Lamed is a prefix that's often used in the Hebrew alphabet, the Hebrew language. It means to or directed towards. So a word will come to me here in a second, but I'm blanking out on a word that starts with the letter Lamed. Lapid. Lapid is a Hebrew word that starts with the letter Lamed. Lapid means a torch or a flame. Okay? Lapid. All right, so we have Aleph, Bet, Gimel, Dalet, Hey, Vav, Zayin, Chet, Tet, Yod, Kaf, Lamed. So you notice this follows L, M, or we have Mem. So it goes L, M, N, just like the English alphabet, L, M, N. So Mem, a Mem. The Mem always makes the sound of the letter M. So like mama, or in the Hebrew language, we would see this letter used for mayim, or water, mayim. Okay, Mem. Aleph, Bet, Gimel, Dalet, Hey, Vav, Zayin, Chet, Tet, Yud, Kaf, Lamed, Mem. And just like I said, L, M, N, this is the sound of the letter N, or noon, noon. Okay, noon. And it's always going to make an N sound, okay? We see this letter used in the name of a man who built a large boat by the name of Noach, okay? And actually, his name is just two letters. It's a nun and a chet. Noach. Noach. Okay? That's how you spell Noah's name. All right, let's review. Aleph, Bet, Gimel, Dalet, Hey, Vav, Zayin, Chet, Tet, Yud, Kaf, Lamed, Mim, Nun. And then this letter here that looks kind of like a weird O with a little tail stuck. It looks kind of like an O with a nice hairdo, right? This is a Samech. Samech. All right, Samech is always going to make an S sound, as in snake. All right, Samech. Samech. And let's review again. Aleph, Bet, Gimel, Dalet, Hey, Vav, Zayin, Chet, Tet, Yud, Kaf, Lamed, Mim, Nun, Samech. Samech. All right. I believe this letter is used to spell the word Sameach. Sameach. So when you come upon a holiday or a festival on the Hebrew calendar, you would say Chag Sameach. Chag Sameach, which means happy celebration or good celebration. Okay. Let's go to the next letter. This letter is Ayin. Ayin. And Ayin is also, just like the Aleph, we're going to treat it as a silent letter, okay? Unless it's given a vowel under it, which we'll learn vowel points next week. Unless it's given a vowel, we're going to treat it as a silent letter, okay? It doesn't want to make a sound. So Ayin, Ayin. Ayin is a word which means eye, like what you see with, and it also means a spring. So water boiling up out of the ground, that's a spring. It's an Ayin, Ayin, okay? We're going to treat it as silent. But most often, you're going to see this word pronounced as ah, like an AH, okay? This letter is going to be pronounced ah, but we're going to treat it as silent, but you will most times see it as needing to be pronounced as ah. This is also the last letter of the name of our master and rabbi and Messiah, Yeshua. Yeshua. You hear that ah sound at the end? That's because there's an ayin with a okay? Yeshua. Yeshua. All right, so we have Aleph, Bet, Gimel, Dalet, Hey, Vav, Zayin, Chet, Tet, Yud, Kaf, Lamed, Mim, Nun, Samech, Ayin. We're getting through here. Pei. Pei. A pei means mouth, okay? This is corresponding to the English letter P, pei. And you see there's a dot here in this letter. Usually when there's a dot, it's indicative of the fact that this letter can be pronounced a couple different ways, and that is true with the pei. The pei, if it has a dot, is pronounced as a hard P, P. If it does not have a dot, however, it's pronounced as the letter F, as in F, okay? So this would be a good good example of this would be, this is the first letter of the name of the Egyptian ruler, Paro, okay? But if we take away the dagesh, we take away the dot, and we put it at the end of a word, we have the name Yosef, okay? So this same letter pronounced differently at the end of Yosef, all right? So you have Paro and Yosef. Same letter, just different sounds. So if it has a dot or a dagesh, it's pronounced as a p, as a p. If it does not, if it goes away, it's a softer f, okay? Okay, let's go back and review. Aleph, Bet, Gimel, Dalet, Hey, Vav, Zayin, Chet, Tet, Yud, Kaf, Lamed, Mim, Nun, Samech, Ayin, Pei. And then we have Sadi. So you have that TZ sound at the beginning. Sadi. Okay, like pizza. If you can say the word pizza, you can say this letter here, Sadi. This is the first letter of the word Tzion, like hard Zion or Mount Zion. Tzion. All right. I tell people it looks like a righteous man kneeling down. He's in prayer and he has his hands lifted up in prayer and he's worshiping. He's a tzaddik. All right. So this is a sadi. All right. We have Aleph, Bet, Gimel, Dalet, Hey, Vav, Zayin, Chet, Tet, Yud, Kaf, Lamed, Mem, Nun, Samech, Ayin, Pei, Tzadi. And this word here is Kuf, or this letter here is Kuf. It's equivalent to kind of a mixture of our Q and our K, Kuf. Okay, so it would be pronounced as a K. All right, and Kuf means monkey, and I tell people it kind of looks like a monkey tail coming down here. A monkey, Kuf. All right. So let's go back and review. Aleph, Bet, Gimel, Dalet, Hey, Vav, Zayin, Chet, Tet, Yud, Kaf, Lamed, Mim, Nun, Samech, Ayin, Pei, Sadi, Kuf, and then we have Reish. Now, it's not just a straight R sound, not just a resh, all right, like our English R. It's a little bit different. It's very, very similar, but you're going to actually pronounce it more in the back of your mouth. And I've listened to Israelis use this letter, modern Israelis use this letter, and they say it more as a resh, resh, resh. Okay, so what I do is I take the back of my tongue and I push it up against the back of the roof of my mouth. I say resh, resh, or I almost kind of flatten my tongue out in the back, and it's a hard sound to master. But if you want to try to say this letter without any sort of accent, you want to say it resh, resh. Okay, and I'm sure different communities in the Jewish world pronounce this letter differently, but for the most part, it seemed like modern Israelis pronounce this as resh. So the word sidur, sidur, it's almost like an L sound, but sidur, sidur. Okay, so resh, resh, resh. I'm sure there's going to be some Hebrew scholars or Israelis who watch this video who will take the liberty to correct me if I got any of these wrong, but resh, resh. All right, so it's kind of like a backwards R. And for the most part, if you can't master that sound, just make the letter R sound, okay, resh. And that will suffice for now. All right, let's go back and review. Aleph, Bet, Gimel, Dalet, Hey, Vav, Zayin, Chet, Tet, Yud, Kaf, Lamed, Mem, Nun, Samech, Ayin, Pei, Sadi, Kuf, Resh. And then we have Sheen, Sheen. Sheen is a letter that makes two sounds. Like I said, whenever you see a dot, it's usually indicative of the fact that it can make two sounds. All right, and here our sheen, if the dot is on the right-hand side, it makes a SH sound, okay? Like Shaddai, Shaddai, which is one of the names for God, Shaddai. If the dot switches over to here and it's on the left-hand side, it's going to make a softer S sound, S, like a seen, okay? So let's go back and review. Aleph, Bet, Gimel, Dalet, Hey, Vav, Zayin, Chet, Tet, Yud, Kaf, Lamed, Mim, Nun, Samech, Ayin, Pei, Sadi, Kuf, Resh, Sheen. And our final letter is a Tav, Tav. Tav looks like the letter Chet, doesn't it? It's very similar. Here's the difference, however. Tav has this little curvature that comes down, and there's a tail poking out right there. You see the tail poking out? So a tav is different than a chet in that way. A tav is the final letter of the Hebrew alphabet, and it's always going to make a T sound. So tav and tet are like brother-sister letters. Tav, tet, okay? All right, let's go back and review one more time, and then we'll go on to final form letters. Aleph, Bet, Gimel, Dalet, Hey, Vav, Zayin, Chet, Tet, Yud, Kaf, Lamed, Mim, Nun, Samech, Ayin, Pei, Sadi, Kuf, Resh, Sheen, Tav. All right, let's make sure we're still recording here, and then we're going to go. Okay, it looks like we're recording. Let's go to final form letters now. Let me expand this out. So there's 5 letters in the Hebrew alphabet that change their form when they appear at the end of the word, okay? These are the letters right here. Can you guys say some of these letters? We have this first one, which I said is a backwards C, and he's turning around to Kaf, like that. So this is the letter Kaf, Kaf. This is the letter Mim, right? It always makes an M sound. This is the letter Nun, Nun. Then we have the Pei, and then we have the righteous man kneeling down in prayer. We have a Sadi, Sadi, all right? When these 5 letters appear at the end of a word, they change their appearance. They do not change their sound, okay? So the Kaf, when it appears at the end of the word, makes basically the best way I think I described it in class was the bottom falls out like a trapdoor. You see that bottom right there? It just falls straight down, all right? And it still makes the sound kaf, or ka. We see this at the end of the word baruch, baruch, which means to bend a knee or bow or bless, all right? The letter mem, it doesn't drop out. The bottom doesn't drop out. Instead, it fills in right there. It actually fills in, and you see it's filled in. So letter mem, it's kind of this boxy looking letter. We see this at the end of the word mayim. So we have a regular mem in the word mayim. We have a mem soffit in the word mayim, mayim. So you have a mem soffit. Here's the third letter that has a final form, nun, nun. You see this one, the bottom falls out. It looks a lot like the letter vav, doesn't it? But here's how we know the difference. Because if I were to draw a line right here, the final nun actually drops down below the line. And a vav would actually stop about right here. So when you see an elongated vav and you're like, it looks really long to be a vav, that's a final noon. And over time, as you practice, you'll be able to decipher the difference faster and faster. But a noon is one of those letters that drops down below the line. This letter would appear in the name of Moses' brother, the Kohen Gadol. His name was Aharon, the high priest, during Israel's early tabernacle days in the book of Exodus and Leviticus and Numbers and Deuteronomy. Aharon was the high priest. All right. This letter here, Pe, has a final form as well, and this one the bottom falls out like a trap door, and it looks like this. So this one's pretty easy to tell. That's pretty decipherable if you see that at the end of the word. And this would appear at the end of the name of Yosef or Joseph. Okay. Let's go to our last final form, Sadi. The bottom falls out like a trap door, and it hangs down below the line. It looks kind of like an ayin, but remember, an ayin curves over back this way. This one just falls straight down, and it goes actually below the line. It still makes the same sound, it's that TZ sound as in the word pizza. This we see at the end of a word, Eretz, which means the earth or the ground, Eretz Yisrael, or the land of Israel, okay? Eretz, all right? So these are the final form words, or final form letters. There's 5 of them, and they change their appearance. They do not change their sound. All right, well, that completes this little tutorial here on the video, and I hope it gives you guys kind of a good refresher, and you're working on memorizing the Hebrew alphabet, working on recognizing these letters and their phonetic sounds, and then working on recognizing the final forms when they appear at the end of the word. If you have a siddur, the same siddur we use when we're doing prayers on Shabbat morning, I would highly encourage you to open that up and begin to read through some of the prayers that you know you're familiar with. For instance, the Michamoka or the Amidah. Try to sound some of those Hebrew words out because you're already familiar with some of the sounds that we make, or the Shema or the Ve'ahavta. And do your best to try to phonetically sound some of those words out, okay? So when we meet again on Saturday, what I'm going to have you guys do when you come in is I'm going to give you sort of like a quiz. I'm going to have you write as many of the Hebrew letters as you can write from memory, and you're going to write the actual Hebrew characters like this, okay? And then if you miss one, if you can't remember one, I'm going to have you kind of mix up a little bit and get with some other people and copy off of them, and then we'll figure out if everybody got 100%. All right, so continue to memorize your Hebrew alphabet and memorize the final forms. When we meet again, also, we're going to go over and I'm going to introduce to you the vowel symbols, the vowels, okay? And what we call the Tiberian vowels. All right, but until then, have a good week and shalom. Thanks for watching.